Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Masters Muscle. Tonight, I am excited as we're going to pretty much jump into the DeLorean, go back 20, 25 years, as we have one of Vinny's very close friends here joining us tonight. Vin, take it away.
I know Billy and I have known each other probably 25 years. And I would have to say, in my comeback, he's been one of the catalysts to motivate me, get me out of my comfort zone. We trained together through the whole entire pandemic, and with Vinny Q, can't leave him out. It was the three of us.
Yeah.
Billy's won a lot of titles. Billy's an old guy now, 65, still going. 56?
66.
I'm sorry, I'm 56. Billy, what's up?
How you doing, Vin? How you doing, Sean? Thanks for having me on. Really great.
Bill, it's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
You know, when we talk about names in the industry, and like the first thing that comes up is like we talk about, Jay Cutler or all the way down to Lee Haney, and in between and after. But there's hundreds of thousands of bodybuilders who have accomplished quite a bit in our industry. And Billy, you're one of them. And you've competed in numerous organizations throughout the years.
Yep.
But first, before we get to that, how did you get involved? How did you start with training and competing? Who were your training partners? And tell us from the beginning. Let's go to the beginning.
Well, the beginning is my father. My father just had a tremendous body, really strong guy, built well, and always admired, his body, his muscle, and the way he worked. I remember we were in Cub Scouts together, and I was 8 years old only, and we had this three-legged race against other fathers, and we strapped up and we were running, and I was crying like a little baby, and he made sure we came across the finish line first. So that's where my competitive spirit came from and never left, and that type of intensity that I took into the sport. But so he was the first kind of inspiration in terms of having a good body. And then when I went to college, I went to William Patterson, and my first day I was woken up and I saw at the student center, I saw this amazingly big human being. I couldn't believe it. And his name was Guy Del Corso. And I walked right up to him and shook his hand, and we became friends. We played basketball together and at the school. And, he kind of introduced me to weight training. And Guy's a pioneer. I mean, Guy goes way back. This is 1975 that we met. We're still friends. In fact, he's coming to my wedding celebration along with you, Vin. And he's helping my son along with me get ready. So Guy really was my first bodybuilder inspiration. And I mean, he had a gym back then. Nobody had a gym, just Guy. First started out in his garage, and then he went to other places where I trained. And then I went to Fitness World, which was run by Lance Colleretti, and I met Paul Day. Actually, I was in graduate school at NYU, and I was training at a gym in Elmwood Park, and I met Paul Day, who was the Canadian national junior champion. And he walked up to me and said, "Hey, do you ever think about competing?" I'm like, "The hell's this guy talking about?" And I say, because I was a baseball player, and I was done playing baseball and went as far as I could. And he said, "Why don't you just go rent this movie called Pumping Iron and look at it and tell me what you think?" So I saw the movie and I came back. I go, "You really think I could do that?" He's like, "Yeah, you have really good potential." He said, "If you let me train you, you'll do well." So that's how it all began. And it was under his wing for the first two contests. I won. My first one, won the overall. Second one was the Jersey Shore, where I went won my class, and then the Open in the novice, and then I went in the Open, won my class, and then competed for the overall against Frank Catania, who beat me by 1 point. And I tease him all the time because his dad said that I should have won, and I agree with his dad. But Frank buzzed me about it all the time. So that's really how it began. And I was, the fire was lit ever since.
And when you decided to bounce around some organizations back in the day,
yeah,
because very well, like in Jersey, you know, it was all NPC. Oh, actually, it was AAU in the beginning.
It's AAU, yeah.
Yeah, it was AAU, and then NPC started. What gave you the confidence to say, I want to branch out and try some different things, not like the norm?
And you mean going back to the NPC or going into?
Like I know you did the PCA, the AAU. Run us through all those shows. And
okay, so
what made you decide to do those?
My first few shows were AAU because that's all I knew. And then the NPC came along and I went into a few of those shows. You know, that was, the AAU was based on height class, which I did very well in. And the NPC was based in weight and still is. So I didn't feel like I started as a middleweight. It was pretty tall middleweight. I just felt more comfortable in the AAU in the beginning. And finally I said, well, you know, let me try this AAU, this NPC stuff. I did that and did well. Then the universe came up, which was the World Physique Federation. And I went to that in Tucson. I was in 6 universes. I placed in every one, finished second, lost literally by a point in 1989, the year my son was born. And that was quite disappointing. But fortunately for me, it didn't allow me to quit. So I continued and eventually got my pro card in the IFBB through the NPC.
You know, it was the first time maybe you could add to this a little bit. The first time I remember hearing your name was along with Tommy's name, Tommy Potenza.
Right.
That in 1991, I placed 10th in the middleweight class at the Jersey. And I went to Diamond after. It was like one of my first times going. And I was starting to train for the 92 Jersey, and they said, the guys in there were like, yo, Tommy Potenza and Billy Scarnaty are training, and Tommy, you know, took second last year, so he's going to win it. And I'm like, who's this Tommy guy? and I know you guys were training partners for a long time, right? Yeah.
Listen, Tommy's still one of my best friends and always has been, like a brother. But when we trained at Diamond, listen, this sounded like an old man talking, but this is the truth. When we trained at Diamond, I could never replicate that training again. I mean, it was just so intense. You walked in, if you didn't train hard, you didn't belong there. And I don't mean hard like people think hard is today. I mean, to the point where you're almost killing yourself. I remember when we had to do legs, we would pray that there was a spot close to the door, because if not, you had to walk after doing legs to the car. It was brutal. Tommy and I laugh about it all the time. We call it stupid training. You know, we one day decided we were not going to train legs hard. We said, listen, we're just going to go easy today. We were both sold on that. And we saw a kid who was about 175 pounds squatting 405 for 10 reps. That changed everything. You know, it was crazy. We talk about it all the time. We used to hack squat with 6 plates for 8 and 10 reps. I mean, I can't even imagine. I wouldn't even go near that today, you know, but it was great. And John was great to us. I was getting ready for the Empire State Championships in Rochester. And John said to me, listen, if you win the whole thing, I'll give you a diamond gym jacket. I mean, at that time, if you had a diamond gym jacket, he said, that was it, man. You were the shit. And I just trained like crazy and was so happy when I won. As soon as I got back, I said, John, I won the whole thing. And he handed the jacket over to me. I wish I had that jacket today, you know, just to keep or give to my son. I earned it. You know, I could buy a diamond gym jacket, you know, but I earned that jacket. John was great.
Yeah, John treated you good.
Yep.
John, you know, he was that kind of guy.
He was awesome.
And it's funny because he taught me a few things along the way and that are so watered down today and they don't exist anymore. Type of, you know, style of training and stuff. What do you think you walked away? What did you learn from John and training there that you apply in your training today? Like technique or style or like
overall, well, the one thing I learned that I would never take or tell anybody is not to drink water or anything while you're training. John just like, why are you drinking water? Because I'm friggin' dying. Maybe that's why, you know, but he was so hardcore. It was incredible. But overall, you just take away that when you walk into the gym, very different than today. But you walk into the gym, you're going there, you're in that gym for a purpose, and that purpose is to be better than you were before you stepped in the gym. And the only way that happens is to train hard. And again, hard at that time and still today means you're given 100%. And you shouldn't walk out of there feeling good. At least your body. You feel good in your head that you accomplished. But I mean, everything should hurt. And not joints, your muscles. You should, get to the center of the muscle belly and really experience that pain. And that's what John was about. I mean, he didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk.
Oh yeah, totally.
So how did you guys meet?
This is funny. So Vinny doesn't.
Do you want to say that on air?
I've never told this. No, I'm not going to tell that one. So
That one, how many are there?
there's a bunch. So our friend Lance Colorati said to me, "Listen, I want you to take a look at this kid. He's young, and show him how to pose, because he's a good poser. But you could teach him a few things." So I went to Vinny. I forget Vinny. I don't know if it was the Suburban, the Jersey, or whatever. And I'm in the audience watching you pose, and I said to Lance, "What the hell are you talking about? He could teach me how to pose." Vinny was a great poser and still is. So we were introduced that day, but we had another time where we met.
Which we can't disclose.
We can't disclose. A little bit more fun than that.
Have you guys ever trained together?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We both got ready for Reno, and we trained together then. Vinny actually trained me for the Pittsburgh Pro back in 2014, which was the first time in all my bodybuilding career that I cheated on my diet. What I thought was cheated anyway. And it was at his gym, and he's like, "Billy, you got to go home and eat." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to eat." He goes, "No, you have to eat." He goes, "I want you to go right now and order pancakes, have a few muffins, then go home, order a pizza, eat the whole pizza, then go have 2 cheeseburgers." I'm like, "And French fries." I don't eat fried food. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, "I'm not doing that." He goes, "I'm telling you, you got to do it. Then have ice cream." I mean, the list was crazy. It was like,
Well, let me explain. Like, so today, refeeds and whatever you want to call them today are
Right.
very prevalent in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But Billy dieted so hard and so disciplined that he was at an ultra low body fat percentage. Just by looking at him, he was ultra shredded.
Yeah.
And it was at the point where we could now start losing muscle.
Right.
And an extra potato or an extra cup of rice was not going to do the job. We needed an exorbitant amount of calories.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the show, you did that, you filled back out, and it was like a reset button.
Yeah.
And then everything went back into place. But it's used wrong today. A lot of people cheat because they're
Too often. Yeah.
Too often, way too often. You have to earn it. You have to earn a cheat meal.
It's a cheat week for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it's part of the program, when it's part of the plan, it's part of the plan. It's not cheating.
Right. Right. And that I learned that. I mean, I've been competing since '86, and it took me to 2012. And everybody would tell you, I mean, once I decide to diet, I can't even be tempted, to eat any crap. So
Well, remember the one time, so we were at, Billy was 10 weeks out from a show. I can't remember what show that was. And we go to Tommy's house. And now we're talking about Tommy Potenza, who we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
All 3 of us are friends, and we go to dinner quite often. And he goes over Tommy's, and he's like, "Yeah, not in shape. Like, not in shape at all." And we're like, "You're crazy. There's no way you're doing it in 10 weeks. And so we're like, "Well, good luck." And Billy, 10 weeks later, I don't remember what show it was, but
it was in Eastern America. Yeah.
Eastern America?
Yeah.
Or Eastern USA?
You're
Where
right.
was it?
Eastern USA. Yeah.
And you ended up winning your class?
Yeah. Won my class and the overall.
In the overall? Yeah.
In the Masters, the overall, I won my class.
And that just goes to show you, when you put your mind to something, you can get it accomplished.
Yeah. And I hope that that metabolism is still the same. We have our wedding celebration in a few weeks, actually in 16 days. And I started at March 23rd at 217. I'm down to 205, and I promised myself I'll be at 200 by the wedding. And I better be, because, man, I was out of shape. You know.
Well, so let's segue into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive a little bit into the past year from last June.
Yeah.
You know, Billy had a horrific accident while at work. As a teacher, he played a game with the student faculty basketball game, and he jumped up for a layup and came down and tore both quads off his kneecaps.
Yep.
And so he's been rehabbing that for a long time now, and just the past couple of months getting back into the gym. And you know, it's a mind fuck, and it plays with you. His confidence was shot for a while. He's regaining it. I've been watching him, and you know, let's tell everybody like what you've been going through. And
well, I was getting ready for my last competition. I can't tell you how many times I said that, but I truly meant it. You know, I mean, at age 65, which was last year, I said, that's it. I'm not, you know, I just don't want to do it anymore. I want to continue training and all, but I don't want to compete anymore. It's just tough. And so I got hurt, and, you know, I've been PT for like, I think it's 46 weeks now. And then I also have a back issue as a result of it. But, you know, they told me it would take forever. Of course, I was in the gym as soon as I could. I was in the gym with my braces on my legs. I was coaching baseball with my braces on. I just, you know, to sit there and do the shit that they want you to do and not really be a human being, I couldn't do it. But I'm feeling better now. And, you know, I'm getting ready to compete again, not this year, but next year. And that will be the last one. And listen, I know at age 66, even though I'll be in a master's competition, I'm going against guys that are 60. So next year I'll be 67. 7 years, a lot of years to give up. It's the first time in my life I'm not worried about winning. I'm just worried about being in the best shape of my life. I don't want to go out on a stretcher. I'm going to go out on my own terms and end it that way. No.
Yeah, you want to do this your way and finish it your way and feel comfortable with it.
Yep.
And I get it. So,
Bill, we've all been injured. I know Vinny's had his shoulders, and we've all had our injuries. Has it been tough on a mindset, like with doing a hack squat or leg extensions? Like, you want to try 150, let's just say hypothetically, but knowing that really you're only supposed to do 20 or 30, let's say. I mean, is it kind of hard?
It's so difficult. It really is. I mean, I just trained legs today with Vinny Q, right? Today I was able to leg press 600 pounds for 10 reps.
Wow.
Listen, a year ago, less than that, I was doing 1,200 pounds or 12 plates for 20 reps. So and my legs have shrunk. You know, that's the hardest part, looking at your body and like asking yourself, well, where did it go? Where did my body go? And trying to have, and I do have, but there's time, the faith that it will come back, you know, obviously not going to come back the way it did when I was 45 or 35 or even 55, but I want my body back, and I'm going to work to get it back. But it is tough. There have been times where, and Vinny will tell you, I pretty positive mind. But there's times where I felt really crummy, and I just slap myself out of it and say, don't deserve to be here. Don't deserve to be down. You deserve to be, or you need to be grateful for the fact that I'm walking. I remember being in that wheelchair for weeks and promising myself I'll never, ever go back in a wheelchair again, and being grateful that I'm walking. And it's just going to take time, but I'll get my body back. Yeah. But it has been tough at times, for sure,
But, tell Sean about the very inspirational gift I gave you while you were in the hospital.
This is the one thing
that got you through everything.
Yeah, this is the one thing. So when he comes to visit me, I wish I don't know where it is, but it's in the house somewhere. And he gets this poster-sized picture of him autographed to me in my hospital room.
Did he put to my biggest fan, love Vinny?
Yeah, something like that. And all the nurses would come in and go, "Is that you?" I'm like, "No, that's my buddy." But Well, yeah, from that point on, Sean, I mean, forget about it. That was total inspiration.
It was all uphill from there.
Yeah. That was, everything was sunshine and rainbows after that.
Leave it to Vinny to pick anybody up.
Oh, yeah. We still have the picture.
You gotta laugh.
So, guys, you brought up a couple of Toms earlier. There's someone on the chat here. His name is Tom. I'm going to not say this right. Quayarella. He says, sounds great, Billy.
Yeah.
I was Tommy P's first training partner.
Yes.
And then we have a Joel Terrenz saying legends in the game here.
Joel's the best.
Joel.
I'm sorry.
Joel's a big power lifter. I think he benched 800 pounds or close to it. He's a man of God. He came to visit me in the hospital, prayed with me. I mean, just a super guy. So did Guy Del Corso come and say prayers with me. I mean, it's amazing when you're down and out to know that people care. My best friend Scott and Tommy came, Vinny Q came, just people just taking time out of their day to make sure to tell you, hey, I know you'll get through this. And that helped a lot.
Yeah, well, you're in good hands with Vinny Q, and whenever. Actually, I don't think you and I have had a chance to train together.
No.
Since the injury.
Well, yeah, we did. We did.
We did?
Remember? Yeah,
No.
early on, we were doing that. We did chest together, and my legs were straight out, and you're like,
oh, that's right.
You do this. Yeah.
Oh, up in Fairview. Yeah. But you know what, Sean, which is really cool about Billy, it's now running in the family. His son, Billy Jr. is competing. He's had great success. And is Billy competing this year?
Yeah, he's competing in November in Steve's show in Long Island, and then maybe the Nationals, depending on how well he does.
In Long Island, what show is that?
I don't know. I forgot the name. It's
Okay.
Steve Weinberg show.
All right, cool. Yeah, he's looking pretty awesome. It's cool, like when you see that running in the family. You know, I don't have any kids, but my nephew's going to be competing in 4 weeks. My nephew Nicky.
Isn't that great?
He's going to go in the Atlantic States, the classic physique in a couple of weeks. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was going to say, so Bill, Vinny and I talk about this with together and another podcast. It sounds like as you're aging, that you're still training like you were at 30 and 40. Am I hearing that wrong? Like you're not easing off the gas, like aside from the quad industry, it sounds like you're still going balls to the wall like you were 40.
Yeah, I am. But I learned one thing from Vinny, and it took me 60 till my 50 or 64 years to slow it down a little bit, because I trained hard and heavy always. I mean, I started training in 85 and up till 2 years ago, just hard and heavy all the time, no matter what. And Vinny's like, you're going to get hurt. You're getting old. I'm like, I'm not getting old. Meanwhile, I'm getting old. So the way Vinny trains, he still trains intense, but he doesn't train as heavy as we did in the past. And it's much more effective because he's hitting the muscle as it should be hit. When you train heavy like I did, a lot of stress goes to your joints and not as much to the muscle belly. So I've learned that, and I've slowed down in that regard. And it's been very helpful. But I still train with intensity for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
it's kind of hard to. And listen, if I didn't have the shoulder surgeries, I didn't have the injuries, I probably would not have gone in the direction that we're talking about. I would not have learned from anything. So I needed to find a way to get the job done differently. Mm-hmm. And then, what would annoy me would be people would say, I'd say something about my age and like, age is just a number. And no, it's not. You have to approach it a lot differently. And when you talk to guys, you're 65, I'm 56. And when you talk to somebody who's 40, they think they're old. They think they made it that. I'm like, you have no idea what's coming in the next 10 years.
I know.
But you wake up every morning with the enthusiasm and the vigor to want to hit the gym and change. We're always wanting to change ourselves and get better. Yeah. And that's the beauty of what we do. But you're finding your way, and it's taking some time.
Yeah, and again, I know, I took a lot of pressure off me because I wanted to compete this October, And I told you several months ago, or a few months ago, I said, you know what, I'm not going to compete this year, because really, even there's nothing I could do to get these legs back in that time. But certainly by next year, they'll be back good enough to be on that stage. I
totally believe that.
Just want to hit on my son a little bit more. So, you know, I had my kids in the gym with me constantly. When Billy was born, he was in there when he was 6 weeks old. After their mom and I split, you know, I wasn't going to stop bodybuilding, and I wasn't going to stop being a parent, obviously. So my kids were with me 5 days a week, and I would take them with me to the gym while I trained. We trained at Bodyworks Hardcore, which is Maz's gym. That was in the middle of Patterson. And they would do their homework while I trained. All those big guys there would watch them while I competed, or while I trained. We would go home. I think that's why they were both really good athletes. My daughter still holds the record as a lacrosse player at Fairlawn High School for the most goals scored. There's my son, here he is. She was only 5'1", but a real tough kid. And Billy played baseball for me in high school. I was his coach. And he was a really good baseball player as well. But when they asked me, you know, he was a power lifter initially. They said, "Do you think your son will ever go to bodybuilding?" I'm like, "I hope not." Why? I go, "I don't think he has the genetics for it." And it just proves this point, that you never know how someone will do until you diet them down. And then the body shows. And I'll tell you, he's got genetics, and they're better than mine, and he's going to be better than I was. And, you know, I wish him all the luck. I'm there with him. I'm his coach, just like I was in baseball. He's very coachable, and he loves the sport. Guy Del Corso helps me, you know, with him, guys like his uncle. And, you know, together, the three of us are really working out a plan. He's won his first 2 shows, and he did extremely well. So looking forward to that.
He does the men's classic, right?
Men's classic, yeah. And he's got a very classic body for sure. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And so his next show is November, you said?
November, yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yep.
Does he want to be an IFBB pro? Is that his goal, like that?
He's so unlike kids today, right? I said to him after this show, you know, you ought to think about the nationals. And his reply is, "I'm only going in if you guys think I could win." You know, like, you know, everybody writes nationally qualified as soon as they win a show, right? There's nowhere that on his feed. He doesn't talk about that. He doesn't talk that way. He's old school, like we were. You know, you earn one level at a time, go up and earn your stripes, and that's the way he's approaching it, which is cool.
He's one strong kid too.
He's very strong.
He's taking that powerlifting mentality and applied it to bodybuilding, and I've seen him train, and I'm like, wow, this kid is super strong. I was never that strong.
Yeah, well, the stupidest thing I ever saw him do, and the most amazing thing was, you know, those sissy squats with when your legs are hooked in, right, to that little apparatus.
Yep, I know the story you're gonna say.
Yeah, so he puts a barbell on his back, and he does 135 for, I don't know, 10, 12 reps. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You're supposed to hold the dumbbell in front of you. That's enough. Then he goes 225 and does 10 reps. Then he went to 315, and even his powerlifting friends were there. They're like, "Billy, this is stupid. Don't do it." And I said, "You're going to hurt yourself." He did 315 on a sissy squat with that 315 on his back, I think for 5, maybe 6, 7 reps, whatever it was. I mean, after that, I said, don't ever friggin' do that again. You're going to kill yourself. But that's unbelievable strength. I mean, that's sick.
You got to give him credit, though, that he's not like, and Vinny, I talk about this, a lot of the people coming up now, they do 2 shows and then they're going right to the nationals. We talk about this all the time, Vinny, that he sounds like he's doing the progression. He's going to put 5, 6, 7 shows under his belt, do well, and then go to the big game.
Right. When he's ready. Listen, if he's ready after his 3rd show, we'll tell him. But if he's not, he's content with just going back at it later on, which is good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bill, so you talked earlier a little bit about your meals and stuff. How have your diets and your meals changed as you progressed over the years? Still the same, or obviously digestion's changing as we get older? Like, how's that changed?
When I first started, this is no joke. I would, for lunch, eat an entire pizza and an Italian sub every day for lunch. That was when I first started bodybuilding. Never gained an ounce of fat. if I do that now, I'll be entering the fat man's contest. So, you know, listen, my metabolism has slowed down, but I always had a very good metabolism. The minute I started dieting or doing cardio, I dropped fat. And honestly, I see that's true now as I started my diet March 23rd and already lost 11 or 12 pounds. So it's still a good metabolism that I have, not quite as good as when I was younger, but good enough for this age.
Cool.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So Joel's chiming in here as well. He says, I really look to these guys and they give me hope plus God to continue pushing myself into my 50s. Much respect, always in blessings.
Yeah, just a great guy, man. He really is. And
you know, and Billy, I'm sure that you'll agree with this. We've all found our faith, and we've all found prayer groups, and you came to Cornerstone with me,
yep.
which is a men's retreat for St. Paul's. But when you get a alpha guy like Joel talking about Jesus Christ and talking about just where you should be in the direction, the direction you should be going, and pray on it. And, it's a guy like him that reels us in. And so we should be thankful to Joel
100%
for keeping us on track.
Yep. Listen, I never had anybody outside of my family come and pray with me. I mean, those two guys, as I told you, they were there, and it meant a lot. It really did. And not afraid to say their beliefs. They certainly, would never question anyone else's belief or, put it down. Everybody's entitled to believe in their own God, but they're strong in their faith, just like we are. And I love that. I love the fact that, he's an animal, yet, he's a good man at the same time.
I remember, I would call him or talk to him about strategy. What do you think of this? Did you pray on it? No, I don't talk about that right now. What do you think about it?
Yeah. Give me the quick answer. Yeah.
Did you pray on it? And then, I'll be a little frustrated as I'm talking to him, and I'm like, he's right. I'm not even praying on this. I'm not at all.
Yeah.
And then I just get into that zone and things will work out.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So,
good.
No, good.
Just going to say, I'm glad for my faith. I've always had faith. I think my personal relationship with Christ is much more important than my religion, although I like my religion too. There's things that I certainly don't agree with, but I love my own faith and my own belief in God.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Bill, we have a listener asking as well. Does Bill think that 80s carrying equipment was maybe the best ever?
The best ever? I don't know. It's pretty damn good. But there's good equipment out there today.
I would say Icarian and TK Star.
TK Star was good too. Yeah. I like hammer strength. I like a lot of hammer strength stuff. Today. Yeah. And I still like free weights, but less and less for me now.
Yeah, it's something that you're gonna have to get used to with that, because even now, like today, I trained with Fakri, and I'm at Bev's training with Fakri, and he's like, "You want to bench first?" I'm like, "No,
no."
First off, I don't ever bench.
Right.
Secondly, I got to use at least 2 machines, and then I'll ease into some dumbbell work. So you're gonna get there. I mean, you have to build your confidence back, and it'll come. It'll just come.
I was very happy with today's leg workout. That's really all I care about right now is getting these babies back. And it was a good mark today.
What was your leg day today?
Today we started with seated hams like I always do. Did 5 sets of those. Then we did 1 leg extensions, just a hold at the top. Then we squatted, and that was good for me. I went up to 225 for 5 reps, and then
that's excellent.
Yeah, 185 I did for 10, and then I went back down to 135 for 15 before the warm-ups. And then we went on the leg press, and like I said, I was able to get 600 for 6 plates rather for 5 plates for 10. So it was a good day. And then
6 on each side.
Yeah.
That's excellent. You're making great. Don't focus on what you did last year. Just focus on what you couldn't do 2 months ago, and now you're improving.
for sure. But I couldn't do the last workout, you know. So yeah, strength's coming back. I'm happy about that.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that have had their own issues with injuries and stuff, and they'll be inspired by your story.
Yeah, I would say this: if you have an injury, you have every right to be in a fetal position and cry about it for a short period of time, and then you have no right after that. And your responsibility is to get yourself up and get back in the fight and make sure you win the fight. And that's the only way you can go about beating an injury.
Yeah,
true. Yep.
Bill, so you guys are talking about Tom Potenza. He's listening now. And he says, can Bill talk more about Diamond Gym? I know we covered it earlier, but if there's any other stories you might want to share about Diamond Gym, one of the most hardcore gyms in the country, according to Tom.
Wait, let's back up for a second. So why don't you talk? The first thing that pops up in my head is you and Tommy always talking about Rolfing or whatever, and beating the shit out of yourselves. Explain.
So who knows who came up with this? I think people still do it, but certainly not the way we did it. And Rolfing involved, you know, trying to separate or loosen the fascia of your skin. So my biceps always sucked. So I did it. And, you know, you would hold your arms out. Somebody would hold your arms like this, and Tommy would take the instrument and just, you know, scrape and scrape. And it's murder, you know, and then you do a set and go back again. Well, Tommy did it once on his calves. And he couldn't walk for about a week. I mean, that was brutal. I don't know why you would ever do that on your calves. But that was one of the stories in Diamond. And just, you know, when Tommy and I would go there, we just knew on the way there that, you know, we're comfortable in the car now. And we knew as soon as we walked in, it wasn't going to be comfortable. But we also knew that's how you would grow. That's how you would improve. And we really just literally beat the shit out of each other. I mean, it was incredible. Tommy was, you know, Tommy's shorter than I am, and Tommy would do 130-pound dumbbell presses, you know, back in the day, 130s. And at that time, he weighed about 180 pounds. You know, for reps, for a lot of reps, we like I said before, we used to just call it stupid training because, you know, we just went hard from the beginning to the end. Walked out of there. Sometimes we limped out of there and go home, come back and do it again. He would pick me up from Mawa. I lived in Elmwood Park. We would drive to Maplewood and then come back and do it again the next day. We loved it.
You know, I think that, you know, the way we grew up in the gyms, obviously they were so much smaller than today. Mm-hmm. So you had small gyms. We talked about this. And that camaraderie, that drive, that energy, that you're walking into a gym like Diamond for one purpose and one purpose only.
Yeah.
You're not there to make friends. You're going to say hello. You're going to give some bro hugs and some high fives, whatever, fist bumps. And then it's on to training. You're not there for anything else. Unlike today's gyms, they're bigger, anywhere between 20 and 50,000 square feet. And it makes a different atmosphere because now, you know, not even including tripods and cell phones, but just the different mindset that's today, where you can have 5 or 6 different competitors that don't even know each other, that don't even talk.
Yeah.
Right.
And at Diamond, if you were competing, everybody knew it and everybody supported you. If you sucked, you were told you sucked. Yeah. There was no holding back. If you were great, shut up. There's another guy coming that's great. You know, it's going to be, you know, the mindset was different.
It's totally different. You know, listen, as I said before, you don't want to sound like an old man. I'm glad that young people are in the gym. You know, it proves how far this whole fitness culture has come, and I'm grateful for that. But some of the things that I see, I mean, even today I was talking to Vinny Q. I'm like, I can't take this. I got to wrap myself up in a bubble sometime. You know, between sitting on a machine, texting or looking at, you know, Instagram, whatever the hell it is. And it's just like, just train. You could do that too. You could record yourself, whatever, but just train. You walked into Diamond Gym and man, if you didn't work, you would leave. I think we talked about this. I don't remember there being cardio equipment there. Now there probably was. But like you said, there was that one bike in the front, like people warmed up on it. I don't remember there being cardio. Your cardio was to train hard and you'd lose body fat that way. Train real hard, you know. And again, if there was cardio, we never saw it. Tommy and I never did it. That's for
Yep.
sure. So you went there to work out, and I went back there a few years ago, and Dwayne owns it now. And I walked in, and as soon as I walked in, I hear some guy going, hey, champ, what's up? I had no idea who this guy was. And, you know, he gives me a bro hug and takes me. He's like, come here, I want to show you something. And he shows me my picture up on the wall. I had no idea who he was, which goes to your point about people respecting you and respecting that you were training hard and competing. Finally found out, you know, basically who he was. He was a competitor as well. But, you know, you only knew people and talked to them because you realized they were in the same boat as you. They trained hard. And, you know, that was the atmosphere there. I remember there being a really heavyweight woman there. And Tommy and I would always walk up to her and tell her, hey, you know what? You're here for the same reason we're here. We're not satisfied with the way we look or the way we feel. And we're proud that you're here. It made her day. But we meant it too. That again, you didn't have to be a great bodybuilder or great shape to go in and work hard. So it was a little different.
No. Especially at Diamond.
Yeah, especially at Diamond.
What other gyms did you train at?
Trained at Bodyworks Hardcore. Maz was my coach for a while. Maz came with me to Germany when I competed in the Universe. And that was great. As I told you before, I used to take the kids there. Fitness World, which was run by Lance Coloretti. That was my first one. That was a real brotherhood there. Met my two best friends, Scott and Tommy there.
So that was before Diamond.
Yeah. And then we went to Gold's Gym, owned by Frank Catania in Teterboro. We trained, you know, just like you, and we trained all over.
Yep.
During the pandemic, we found gyms to train, and we never missed a day of training when everybody else was home, you know, with bands. So,
yeah, we did. We made our rounds. We had a couple of gym owners that opened their doors for us.
yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Oh, I also trained at Storm and Shapely, which is great, owned by Paulie now. Great gym as well. So, and I trained a few times. Actually, I trained for a few months at Bev's gym, and that's just fantastic.
Now, do you have an idea of what contest you want to do in 2024?
I think the Daytona Masters, and maybe
Because they have over 60.
They do have over 60, yeah. So whichever one has over 60, I'll be interested in.
That was a great show. Mike Matassa is the promoter.
Uh-huh.
And as you know, I was there during the hurricane. And
Right.
the show still went on.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy scrambled to relocate it. He got it going within literally, if it was a day and a half. And he's a promoter that remembers what it's like to be a competitor.
Yeah.
So Mike Matassa down in Daytona for the Daytona Pros. You're in good hands when you go down there.
Yeah. Another great promoter is obviously Gary Udit. We've competed there. And I don't know if Vinny told you, but I became a pro 15 minutes before he did. So.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. Same year. Huh?
Oh, yeah. And I
we have this joke. So
day.
he was in the over 50. I was in the over 40. And the year before, we were both in it. I ended up taking second in the light heavy, and Billy won the light heavies in the over 50. And we decided we were going to go back. And he went on to win the light heavy and overall. All our friends were there. It was a great night.
It was a great night.
It was a great night. Yeah. I mean, to get 2 pro cards for us to both win the show and come from Jersey and training together and everything was actually, we weren't training together at that time.
Not at that time, no. But we were watching each other and talking to each other about it. We posed together over at
I should have sent Sean that picture.
Yeah, that was a good
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. We got a picture. We took a most muscular shot by the cardio equipment Golds.
Yeah.
6 weeks out. And I used that picture as a gauge. Like where I should be at 6 weeks out.
Yeah, because we were ready for sure.
Yeah.
But that was exciting. We had all our friends there, you know, and I couldn't stop crying after I won.
Oh.
I mean, I was like a baby. I mean, I remember Frank telling me, "You got to stop crying." I'm like, I can't. You know, my son and my daughter were with me. I mean, it was just awesome. When I won, I screamed their names. You know, it was just a great time.
It was
You
great.
didn't shake your trophy too much, did you, to break it?
Nah, I would have bought another one, like I told you before. You know, if it breaks, I would just buy another one, replace it.
So, Bill, you do the Daytona. You come in and you're feeling good. Your legs are 100% and whatnot. And do you throw your name in the Masters next year, or at least apply for it? The Masters Olympia.
I did that once, and it was a great experience. It was 2012, and
In Miami, right?
In Miami, yep.
Yeah.
And I will never do it again because, first of all, if they have a Masters Olympia over 60, then maybe I'll consider it. But you know, I basically did a guest posing in front of Dexter Jackson, Tony Freeman, all those great guys. You know, it was a joke for me to be there, but I was glad I was invited and, you know, honored, of course. But no, this is it for me. Whatever, one contest or two next year, that if they're close together, I'm done.
So since you've been on an Olympia stage,
yeah,
and I'm about to be on an Olympia stage,
yeah,
which I could cry right now.
Yeah.
Any tips?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just like I'm overwhelmed. Like I keep thinking, like, wow, I can't believe this.
Here's a few tips. Number one, you already got your invite, and it's well deserved. You have 8 wins, and nobody's more deserving. So that's number one. Number two is, you know, while you're training, just keep it in the back of your mind. Don't let it overwhelm your training. And number three, when you go there, enjoy every minute. Document whatever you can, and just take a time. Like I was taught from my first coach, he said, you know, it's a long, tough road to compete, to get to that stage. Every once in a while, just sit back and think of how lucky you are to be living a dream. And really, you live in a dream. You live in the dream, right? And you take that into account. And as long as you are at your best, if people beat you, God gave them better genetics. That's the way I always thought. You know, I never lost as an amateur. I never won as a pro. And whenever anybody beat me, it wasn't because they worked harder. I'm sure they worked as hard as I did, but they didn't work harder, but they had better genetics. And I could deal with that. I could never deal with, and neither can you, with the fact that I cheated on a diet. I didn't do enough cardio. One day, I don't mean the whole session, the whole time, or several times. Once, I couldn't and can never deal with that. I coach baseball, as you know, Vin, right? I've had a group of kids since they were 8 years old for the last 8 years. And we teach them basically the same thing, the same mindset. You better be better today than you were yesterday. And you better be working towards it. Because if another team beats you, it better be because they're better than you, right? Or they got lucky, maybe a lucky bounce, but not because you didn't do what you were taught, you didn't execute, or you forgot the things that, you know, you were coached to do. And it's the same philosophy. It really is.
Well, I appreciate that.
Vinny, you already thinking music and stuff yet? 'Cause I know people say you're very like methodical. Or is that too soon to even think about stuff like that?
I already have my song.
It figures.
I heard it. Well, let me say, I have 2 songs. One, well, I'll just tell you, it's not a secret.
Mamma Mia.
That was Tommy's song.
Yeah.
That's Tommy who we're talking about. That was his music.
I used that. Hang on one second. I used that when I was in the universe in France. The same thing. You know, the shaking of the leg and Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia. It was great.
And so for those who don't know, so when Tommy and I competed in the 92 jersey, and I put this routine together that I thought was going to be great. It was from Phantom of the Opera, a very classical routine, fluid. And then Tommy comes out to Bohemian Rhapsody. And for years, so in the song where Freddie Mercury says, "Oh, Mamma Mia," Tommy does this on stage and shakes his leg. And just for the simple thing that he did there, people talked about that for years.
Yeah.
And I thought,
yep.
And I always thought about that, like how such a simple gesture or tweak of your routine can really make people think it was a great routine. He posed fantastic, but if he didn't put that Mamma Mia in there with his hands,
Right.
it would have been just another good routine.
Well,
but he made it become an amazing routine.
You talk about, like, we're both very good posers. So was Tommy. And, you know, and so is Guy's sister, Nina, who was also my coach at one point. But what's the common thread there, Sean? Do you know?
What's that?
Between Guy and yourself? Or what do you...
Between Guy, Tommy Potenza, Vinny Galante, Bill Scarnaty.
Nobody gives a crap. All New Jersey people?
We're New Jersey Italians.
So Vin, Tom's actually chiming in here. He says, I should have beat you at the 92 jersey.
No, you shouldn't. Actually, when I saw him, I was like, I'm not going to beat this guy. And then, when we look at the videos back, you know, I think we saw it a few years ago. He put it in, and we watched it, and we were like just cracking up laughing at like what we look like and the routines and everything. And yeah, he looked amazing. He had these wheels. When we talk about big legs,
great legs. Yeah.
I can't tell you if he was standing next to Paul DeMeo, he would give Paul DeMeo a run for the money with the squat and squat sweep, thickness in his legs. He had one of the best. And also just a great structure with the V-taper and big arms. Symmetry.
Yep.
Yeah. Big back, big thick back. And yeah, I was surprised I beat him that night. I can't go back in time. And I can't tell you what happened, but why or whatever. But you know, it is what it is. And a week later, Tommy and I went to Culver City, California, to compete in the Junior USA. And when I saw him, he was ultra shredded because he dropped like, I don't know, I think 14 pounds, 17 pounds. And he was almost 154 and a quarter. He almost made it to lightweight.
Wow.
And I said, I'm not going to beat him. There's no way I'm beating him today. I ended up beating him again. But it was at that contest that we met, we became friends. And then a couple of years later, when I got married in 95, we moved up to Mawa, and they lived up here, and that was it. We all just started hanging out together, and we never looked back. The beautiful thing about, I think, our friendships, and there's a lot of people who can understand what I'm saying, is like there's a lot of negative stuff in our sport, and our clique has always been a healthy relationship between all of us. We could bounce things off of each other. We could talk. I know.
No jealousy. No jealousy at all.
No.
Just,
you know, I could ask Billy or Tommy at any given moment about something, and they're going to tell me the truth, and I'm going to tell them the truth. So it's, you know, we have a good friendship.
Yeah, that's very true. We're lucky.
So, Bill, you competed in multiple decades. I'm going to put your feet to the fire here. Which decade do you think had the best crop of bodybuilders?
The 90s.
Okay.
That's not even a question.
Now, I think
today they're fantastic too. But you're talking about from me competing, the 90s.
Well, I think it goes back to what you were saying a moment ago, where, you know, people talk about how did those guys get in that condition?
Mm-hmm.
And today, you got to do a ton of cardio. And I don't really remember doing that much cardio, like training for the 92 jersey.
No, because
I don't remember it.
Because the difference today is a diet then was sacrifice. Plain and simple. It was.
We didn't eat a lot of food.
And you eat the right food and you never cheated. You know, now it's like every once a week you're getting a cheat meal or a free meal, whatever the hell they call it. And, you know, that has its place now, obviously. But back then, you know, it was just, I'm getting ready. Food means nothing except that I need to get it in. Taste means nothing. I think I lost my taste buds for like 25 years, and that's the truth. I mean, the shit that I ate was incredible. When I used to teach, I would have tuna fish and Sorrel Ridge jelly. That's how I ate my tuna fish. You know, it's
okay.
Yeah, and rice cakes. Yeah. It's good old days.
Pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Pretty hardcore. So, where can you be found on social media? What's your Instagram, your Facebook, if you have that?
I don't have Facebook. Don't want Facebook. I have Instagram, and it's IFBB Pro B Scarnaty. Could DM me there anytime you want. I'm training a lot of people. Got some really good people, some good guys now. I'm only training guys that are going to do very well. Not rushing their prep, which is great. You know, they say whenever they're going to be ready, they're ready. You know, that's whenever I think they're going to be ready, that's when they'll start dieting. So it's exciting. You know, obviously I'm helping my son, and that's it. And coaching baseball, which I love. That starts back up again in June. Of those kids that I was telling you about as freshmen, 11 of them started as varsity players as freshmen. Yeah, they're now juniors and sophomores. We have one kid, Mickey Gilligan, who's actually verbally signed by Rutgers at age 14. He was only in the 8th grade. He's a catcher.
Wow.
Fantastic. Wow. Nikki Lascitello, who is going to be a really good college ball player. Bunch of kids, Brian Hoffman, and just a bunch of kids that I love them. They're great. It's a lot of fun. And that's it. And, you know, Vinny, in a few weeks, or actually in 15 days, we'll be celebrating my wedding to my beautiful wife. Molo's, thanks. And that's going to be a fun day. Guy's going to be there. Vinny Q's going to be there. Tommy's going to be there. Scott, you. We're going to have a good time.
And I'll be watching you guys eat.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get you some chicken, some grilled chicken.
Bill, last question. For people that aren't familiar with you, except through the podcast here today, if they go on Google search, YouTube, maybe what's the best representation, best package that people might want to look for, whether it's show or year, to really see your best self?
Well, I would say 2 shows where I was probably at my peak, and that was when I won the Nationals in 2008, Masters Nationals. The year before, I lost by 1 point to Marty Vrenekar, which was, Marty's just great. A real quick story on that. And I knew that, I didn't know, my friends told me, Frank and Catania, like, listen, you won your class, but there's no way you're beating Marty in the overall. I go, I know, the guy's amazing. You know, I was a middleweight, a light heavy, and he was a heavyweight or super heavy. And so they said, so just go and have a cheeseburger. I go, I'm not doing that. Finally, I did. And like minute by minute, every 15 minutes I would pose, I just got bigger, harder, more vascular. It was nuts. And I went on stage and competed against Marty like I wanted to kill him, you know, and I lost to him by 1 point. And I'm telling you, he was so much better than me. But because I took in that cheeseburger, my body just transformed. So that would be a good one, 2007, 2008. And then, of course, 2008, when my first Masters Pro show was the Atlantic City Pro and Pro.
Was that a Master show?
Yeah, 40 and over. And I was 51 at the time. And I remember this. I remember at the end of it, I called my mom and I said, hey, and she's like, how'd you do? I said, I came in 11th. And there was dead silence. I go, what's the matter? She's like, well, you never lose. What? Are you okay? I'm like, I came in 11th out of 28 guys that I've been reading about. You know, I'm ecstatic. I was very, very happy with that. You know, so that was
awesome.
Yeah, I was in those 3 shows. I was probably in my best shape. And as far as the universe, when I competed in Italy, that was, I think, 1990. That was really a nice symmetrical look. So
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bill, it's definitely been a pleasure. For everyone listening, we're giving Vinny and I on Monday are taking a virtual travel over to the UK. Yep. As we'll be speaking with UK competitors on their way to the Masters Olympia as well. Patricia Lloyd, Sergio Lima, and Kelvin Hind. And starting on Monday, this will be on Vinny's channel moving forward. I'll put the information in the link. So make sure you subscribe to his channel. And then also Wednesday, we have Guy Del Corso. And Vin, for people that don't know, who's Guy Del Corso?
So like as Billy was mentioning earlier, his first influence was Guy Del Corso. And Guy is now a staple behind almost every East Coast, Northeast Coast contest. He's the head expediter. He has a great team behind him that shuffles you on and off stage and makes sure the show runs smooth. And you know, it's ironic. My parents met Guy before I did. And it was at the '89 Suburban when I think my parents were sitting next to him or behind him, and they struck up a conversation. And like all Italian moms, always nervous. Like, what's he going to do with this thing? This bodybuilding thing, you know, enough already. And my mother was put at ease because this big Italian guy told her son had potential. Yeah. And something to that effect. I don't know if those were the exact words, but she was put at ease at that. And that's who we're going to be hosting next week.
Well, also, he's as I said before, a pioneer in New Jersey. Really, he's often the impetus of most people in this area getting into.
He's the OG.
Yep. I have one more thing to say, if I may. So you mentioned your mom. My mother initially was like, "The hell's he doing? He's in graduate school and he's doing this stuff." You know. Soon after that was crazy. I came home after winning the Eastern America and I have this great picture of my mother leaving the diner that she owned and jumping on me and wrapping her legs around me. It was, you know, I've always had the supportive family. Awesome. And I thank them, my brother, my sisters, you know, always been behind me. So just want to get that in because they've been.
And then the week after that, Sean, we have Dwayne McDaniel, who owns Diamond Gym now. So good. Tonight, next week, the week after, it's basically going to be
the Jersey Connection.
Yeah, Jersey Connection. So
another great guy. Yep.
Yeah. So thank you again, Bill.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
On behalf of Vinny, Bill, and myself, as always, thank you so much for listening. If you want to see special guests, reach out and make sure you follow Vinny's Road to the Masters. Thank you so much, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you, guys. All right.